to stand and sing along with Holy Water here. God, I'm on my knees again. God, I'm begging, please again. I need you. Oh, I need you. Walking down these desert roads, water for my thirsty soul. I need you. Oh, I need you. 'Cause your forgiveness, like sweet, sweet honey on my lips, like the sound of a symphony to my ears, like holy water on my skin. A dead man walking, slave to sin. I wanna know about being born again. I need you. Oh God, I need you. So take me to that riverside. Take me under and baptize. I need you. Oh God, I need you. 'Cause your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. It's like the sound of a symphony to my ears. It's like holy water on my skin. Cause I don't wanna abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change. 'Cause I don't want to abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change. I don't want to abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change. 'Cause your forgiveness, it's like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. It's like the sound of a symphony to my ears. It's like holy water on my skin. 'Cause your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. It's like the sound of a symphony in my ears. It's like holy water on my skin. It's like holy water on my skin. It's like holy water. Slow down, take time, breathe in. He said he'd reveal what's to come. The thoughts in his mind, always higher than mine. He'll reveal all to come. So take courage, my heart, and stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. And hold on to your hope as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. Sing praise, my soul. Find strength enjoy. Let his words lead you on. Do not forget his great faithfulness. He'll finish all he's begun. So take courage, my heart, and stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. And hold on to your hope, as your triumph unfolds, never failing. He's never failing. So take courage, my heart, and stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. And hold on to your hope, as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. To you who hold the stars, who call them out by name, will surely keep your promise to me. Let it rise in your victory. You who hold the stars, call them out by name, will surely keep your promise to me. Let it rise in your victory. Take courage, my heart, and stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. And hold on to your hope, as your triumph unfold. He's never failing. He's never failing. Yeah. So take courage, my heart, and stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. And hold on to your hope, as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. Yeah, he's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting.
All right, I believe the kids are dismissed. Just look for Bridget over there, the yellow flag, and we will continue on here. Sang this song a couple times here. It's Made for More. Hopefully you guys enjoy it.
I know who I am. I know who you are. The cross of salvation is only the start. Now I am chosen, free and forgiven. I have a future, and it's worth the living. 'Cause I wasn't made to be tending the grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. I was made for more. So why would I make a bet in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours, and I was made for more. I know who I am. I know who you are. The cross of salvation was only the start. Now I am chosen, free and forgiven. I have a future, and it's worth the living. 'Cause I wasn't made to be tending the grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. I was made for more. So why would I make a bed in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours, and I was made for more. Singing hallelujah, called out my name, so I'll sing out your praise. Singing hallelujah, you buried my past, I'm not going back. Singing hallelujah, you called out my name, so I'll sing out your praise. Hallelujah, you buried my past, so I'm not going back. 'Cause I wasn't made to be tending the grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. I was made for more. So why would I make a bed in my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours, and I was made for more.
All right, I believe you may be seated.
Good morning. I want to welcome our Richland Center family. Thanks for being with us. And if you're watching online, somewhere, wherever, whenever you're watching, thanks for being here. And if you're here with us in Dodgeville, we're really glad that you're here. I especially want to welcome you if you're visiting. You know, there are people who the first of the year, they decide, I'm going to start going to church. And if that's you, that's awesome. And we consider it a privilege that you would be here with us and make that decision for the new year. So last Sunday we started a new series called Getting Better. And I want to remind you something before we kind of hit. When we say better around Hidden Valley, we're not talking in terms of looking at one another and saying, you should be better at this, and he should be better at that, and she should better this. We're really looking at it, it's how can I be better? How can we be better? and us. So this is, all too often we use the word better to point fingers at people, and that's not what we want to do. We want to point them at ourselves. Part of our goal is to be a better church, and that starts with a better me. And we want better families, and that starts with a better me. And we want better relationships at work, and that starts with a better me. So we just want to keep that and remind ourselves over and over again. This is not about if you would just do this better, and if she would, and if they were better, things would be better. This is an I, a we and us, not a them, he, she kind of better. And we started this series last week with really the best better. I don't think that's proper English, but we started with really the best better that you could do last week. We introduced this idea that you can read through the entire New Testament in a year. If you go to the connections counter out there, there's these little reading plans, and at first glance, it looks like overwhelming, but it's not. It's 5 minutes, sometimes more, sometimes less a day, and your year will be better. I can't tell you how it will be better, but it will be better if you participate. And I've already heard, some stories about couples that are doing this together, and some that their families are doing it together. They're around the dinner table, or I don't know, breakfast maybe, but families are doing this together. That's awesome. My 6-year-old grandson is doing it with me, so that's kind of cool. We're doing it together. This week, and maybe this song has been around for a while. I don't know. I don't always listen to music on the radio. But there's a song out there called Dusty Bibles. Anybody heard the song Dusty Bibles? Like I said, it may have been around for months for all I know. But it was an awesome song, and it talks about, if we didn't let our Bibles collect dust, maybe life would be better. And it was like, boy, I wish I had known about that song last Sunday, because I would have sung it. No, I wouldn't. Nobody wants that. But it's this great image that, how much better would our lives be if this just didn't collect dust in my life? So we're continuing in this series, how can life be better in 2026? We make resolutions or whatever, and we think real hard about how to make life better. And so we're going to look over the next several weeks. What are some of the things that God, if we could invite God literally to sit on stage with us, what would be the things that would make life better? Not remove all the pain, not remove some of the disappointment, not change the diagnosis that you get from the doctor, not change somebody else, but what are some of the things that could make our year better in 2026? And, we're going to start today with a word that, quite honestly, for a lot of us, it's a discouraging word. It's the word effort. And some of us, we're just tired of that word because you've put in effort. You've really tried. And it doesn't feel like you got anywhere. Some of you, there's a word that goes together with effort far too often. And you've said this about yourself. You said this about others and people close to you. We've said things like, that was wasted effort. And people, well-intentioned people who care about you, they tried to encourage you, and they said words that, quite honestly, were not encouraging. They said things like this: try harder. A little more effort. Work harder. Is it really about just trying harder? Is that going to make it happen for you and I in 2026? Just look at each other, suck it up, try harder. You know, in sports, every once in a while, and it doesn't matter whether it's a team sport or an individual sport, you will hear an announcer say what I think are the dumbest words, and it almost makes me want to turn off the sound because the game is close, the match is close or whatever, you know, and it's coming down to the final minutes, and some stupid announcer says something like this. He says, "It all comes down to who wants it the most." Really? So what you're saying is that these two tennis players have been playing for 3 hours. It's back and forth, back and forth. They're hitting lasers at one another. And the final shot of the match is a 130-mile-an-hour serve that clips the line for the win. And it's because they tried harder? The other person just didn't try hard enough. You know, the football game, it's back and forth, and they played, and it's an even game, and it's 59 minutes and 55 seconds, and the field goal kicker, sorry about bringing up field goal kickers to some of you. The field, you know, you have to root for a team with low expectations. It feels really good to do that. But anyway, I told myself I wasn't going to bring it up. But the game is even. And one team wins on a last-second field goal that hits the crossbar and it goes through. And did they really win because they tried harder? It all comes down to who wants it the most. Is that really true? You know, I remember, and it was a long time ago, I was in high school. But I remember we were playing a team in basketball, a team that honestly, they had a better record than us. They had more talent than us. And we were trying hard. And the game was kind of back and forth. And I don't want to brag, so I won't mention names. But somebody on our team, with about a minute or so left, he made 2 critical free throws. But the game got under 10 seconds, and we were down by 1. And the ball was not supposed to go to our center, but it ended up in his hands. He shot, he missed, but he was fouled. You know what our center did? He went to the free throw line. And I remember this because it was ugly. He clanked the first one. He bricked the second one. We lost. I guess it's because we didn't try hard enough. Or maybe it's because our center needed to practice his free throws. You know, when it comes to effort in 2026, maybe this is true. Better isn't more effort, but smarter effort. Rather than saying, I'm going to try harder this year, what if we said, I'm going to try smarter? I'm going to grit my teeth, and I know I failed so many times. I'm just going to try harder. But what if we just tried smarter? So yesterday was sort of a holiday. I don't think we really would call it a holiday, but you know what yesterday was? January 10th? Sometimes it's just it's the second Friday of a new year. But you know what yesterday was? It's called Quitter's Day. Studies suggest that 80% of people who made a resolution, they quit yesterday. And I don't think it's because, you know, and I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand. How many of you celebrated Quitter's Day? Yeah, I quit. I don't think it's because we didn't put in the effort. Maybe it was. Maybe it's because we just didn't make smarter choices. So here's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at some of the areas of effort that God might want us to make. Not harder, not more effort, just do more, try harder, just smarter effort. Instead of those things that I've been trying for years and years and years and years, what if, okay, God, what would be smarter effort for me and for you? The first one is this: give out instead of get from. Have you noticed a lot of the effort we put, especially around the new year, is what we're looking to get something. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to get healthier, get better friendships or relationships, get whatever. There's nothing wrong with get from. But what if we were to make some smarter effort to give out? Back in November, when we were talking about games and the comparison game and specifically, I kind of stood up here with my fist like this. And we talked about the fact that, God has given all of us about a fistful of stuff. And we talked about the fact that we compare and we look at other people, what they have, and we want two fists. And so we're not talking about two fists today. But here's the reality about you. God has given you this much. And yours is different than mine, is different than yours, is different than yours. But you have this. And 1 Peter 4:10 says this: as each has received a gift, use it to serve one another. You know what that means? It means I have this. And I can put in a lot of effort to adding until I want two handfuls. You know what this verse really says? Smarter effort is you doing this. It's really hard for me to do this. Opening up and letting go. You know what that means in terms of, for some of us, our marriages? Instead of saying, if she would just do it, if he would, if my kids would only, if my coworkers would, if they would, it's looking at yourself and saying, this is what I bring to my marriage. This is what I bring to my kids. This is what I bring to my mom and dad. It's what I bring. And how can this benefit them? I mean, we all know how our spouses could be better, and our kids, and our coworkers and our boss. But what about this? How can I use this to be a better husband or wife or friend? How can I do that with this? And it's not just in your relationships, but it's a new year, and here's a challenge I make to you. If you consider Hidden Valley your home church, if this is your first Sunday, you can snooze during the next 4 or 5 minutes. But if you consider Hidden Valley your home church, here's some really smart effort. I have this. Where can I use it? Where could I give a little bit? In some of you, you're gifted and talented, and you're not afraid of computers, and programs and stuff. We could use your help. Some of you, I've said this before, not a fan of babies. I'm not. They're squishy and poopy. But some of you really like squishy and poopy people. You could help that way. Or children, preschoolers, children. Some of you have organizational skills, behind the scenes stuff. We could use your help. I'd like to have, I'm just throwing out a number, I'd like to have like 6 or 7 people come to me after the service and say, yeah, I could help somewhere. Can we talk about where? Because you've got this. And here's the thing, if you make a fist and try to hold on, you know what happens to your fist? it gets sore. You know, I mean, I could just stand here and it's like, ugh. And after about 10 minutes, it's going to be like, man, that hurts. And some of us, we're so busy trying to hold on to what we have that we've become sore people. And you know people like that. I'm not saying you are, but you know people like that. And don't look at the person next to you. But we're you know, I got to hold on to what I have. I just have to hold on, and it gets sore. And we become sore. You want smarter effort than doing, I got to hold on to everything. I can't lose something. I don't want to give up my time. I don't want to give up my talent. I don't want to give up treasures. I got to hold on. You know what some of us need to do with smarter effort? We need to open up a little bit. You do have gifts. There are things that you are way better than I am. And we need that. And your spouse needs that. And your kids need that. Some of you have treasures, and we would encourage you to start to give. If you call this your home church, start to give, let go a little bit and start to give regularly to Hidden Valley. Time. I could give some time. You know, if you're not using it, give an hour a month. If you're giving an hour a month, how about you give 2? If you're giving 2, you're good. But I think if God was here, He would say that better effort is not this. I got to hold on to everything. But it's this. And some of us, you know, like, yeah, I've heard that before. That's what pastors are supposed to say. Give, 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 get. I've gone to church. That's all they ever say. You know what you get in return if you give? Luke 6:38 is Jesus making a promise. And this is what He says. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. And I'm the only one standing. And probably there's nobody at Richland Center standing. Probably if you're watching at home and you're standing, sit down because that's weird. But, you know, take your hand and, like, put it on your lap. And it's kind of like you open your handful and God gives you a lapful. I don't know what's going to be in that lapful, but that's kind of the promise Jesus makes. You open your handful, you get a lapful. That's smarter effort. Another area of smarter effort is quite obviously, something that I know absolutely nothing about. And if you've known me for more than 10 minutes, you know that I don't know anything about this. And it's this. Dress for success instead of dress to impress. Dress for success instead of dress to impress. Yeah, I don't know anything about dressing to impress. Some of you are familiar with Steve Jobs. He was the co-founder of Apple, and he was a huge part of creating cell phones. The guy was incredibly smart. He was a visionary. You know what I liked best about Steve Jobs? For 15 years, he wore a black top and jeans. That is brilliant. So I decided that starting today, I'm only going to wear a black top and jeans for the rest of my life. And so I can look just like that. You know what? Then it's like Steve Jobs and I are twins. There's only one problem with that. When I wake up tomorrow, you know what? I will not remember what I wore today. I don't know anything about dressing to impress. Some of you do. Some of you put in a lot of effort, not just with what you wear, but how you act, what you think, what you do, because you want to impress him. You want to impress her. You got to impress them. And we put a lot of effort and a lot of worry into impressing other people, not just our dress. But I think if God were here, He'd say, here's some smarter effort. Dress for success. Because look at this verse, Colossians 3:12. Put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. And that phrase at the beginning, put on, it's really the word dressed. Get dressed. Get dressed. And sometimes we can kid ourselves. And we think, yeah, I've got pretty good fashion sense. Well, you know what? I have 3 daughters. They would tell you I don't. Because there have been, I can't tell you how many times my daughters, when I walked out and I thought, man, I look good, my daughter said, we're not going with you if you're dressed that way, Dad. But we can kid ourselves. And some of us, maybe you look at this list and you say, you know what, I'm a pretty compassionate guy. I am really humble. What if you asked the people closest to you if that's true? And you told them, be honest, and there's no repercussions if you're honest with me. Because this verse isn't about what you think about yourselves. This effort isn't, I just want to think good thoughts about me. I really want to think I'm compassionate and kind and all that good stuff. It's really what others see. What does he see about me? Does he look at me and say, yeah, he's compassionate? What does she look at me and say, he's kind? Or maybe you've never heard those words from other people. And here's the thing, and I say this a lot. Whenever we look at a list in the Bible, God doesn't expect you to become all of these things at once. You can look at this list and you say, okay, I know God has chosen me. I know he loves me, so I'm going to be compassionate, kind, humble, meek, and patient. I'm going to be all 5 of those things. And we leave the building, and somebody is tailgating us, our kids are complaining, and our spouse reminds us of what we didn't do yesterday, and it all goes out the window. Just choose one. Just choose one. That's smarter effort. Just choose one. Just look at this list. Ask somebody who cares about you. I don't know, which ones should you work on, Scott? Maybe you ought to be a little more kind. And enough people tell me I should be kind, maybe that's what I ought to work on. Just choose one. And if you master that one, you can move on to it, but don't try to do all 5. And here's this thing about dress, and what we wear. It's so many of us, we dress, and we're looking for a compliment, right? I had 3 daughters, and when my daughters were young, they would get their hair cut, and I would come home, and they would do one of these deals. Because that was like a code. Dad, you're supposed to compliment. And by the way, young girls and boys need compliments from their dads. And they'd get new shoes, and I'd walk in the door, and they'd do one of these dealies. They put on a new shirt, and they'd walk around like this until I would compliment them. And that's what good fathers should do. By the way, your heavenly Father is a really good father. So if he sees you putting on compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, you just need to know this. This is what he's doing. You may not hear it. He notices. He's way better father than I ever was. And I noticed most of the time, not always. I missed the new earrings sometimes. He doesn't miss. So choose one. Just put some effort, smarter effort, into just one of those. Imagine if in your family you put on patience and she put on kindness and your kids were trying to be a little more humble. That wouldn't be a bad place to be. Just one. And then this last one that I think God would say, just make some smarter effort in this area. And by the way, these first 2, you don't have to be a follower of Jesus to try those. Even if you're not, if you're here and if you're watching and you're still trying to figure out if you believe in Jesus, we are so honored that you are with us. And you can try. We want you to kind of give. You can put on compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, and not know Jesus, and your life is going to be better. But this last one, it's sort of for those of us who are already believers. If you're not, hang in there. You're on a journey, and that's awesome, and we're glad you're here. But this last one, build on what you believe. Put some smarter effort into building on what you believe. So, some of us say, I believe in God, and that's awesome. I believe in Jesus. But you need to know that's not the end, that's the beginning. That's where we start. And like I said, if you're not a follower of Jesus, but you're here, however you're with us, we are absolutely thrilled. We are thrilled you are here. Stay with us. And let's see if we can answer some of those questions. But, believing in Jesus is not the end game. There's smarter effort that we're supposed to make. 2 Peter 1, 5 through 7 says it this way. For this very reason, make every effort to supplement your faith. In other words, you believe. With virtue, and virtue with knowledge, and knowledge with self-control, and self-control with steadfastness, and steadfastness with godliness, and godliness with brotherly affection, and brotherly affection with love. That's a lot. And you look at that list and you're like, that is a lot of effort. Again, it's a list. Just choose one. Just choose one. Some of you say, I'm new to the faith. And so work on virtue. In other words, you know what? I believe Jesus is good. I believe he's kind. I want to work on doing the right thing because I don't always do the right thing. Just choose that one. And some of you are like, I need to work on the knowledge piece. I didn't grow up going to church. I didn't go to Sunday school, kids' church, all that good stuff. And if you didn't, that's okay. But you just don't have all that knowledge that some people do. That's okay. Come to church, take notes, join a life group. Mine's the best. Not really. But just find ways to add some knowledge. Some of you, it's that self-control. You'll be going well in life, and suddenly you kind of drop off. So put some effort into self-control. Just one. I think if Jesus were here, he wouldn't look at you and say, just try harder. If you would only try harder, your life would be better. I think he would say, and he'd say this to me too, try smarter. I think he would say, look at what you have. And how are you going to use it for other people? The ones you see every day, the ones you work with, your church family. You've got this. It's different than mine. I need yours and you need mine, whatever's here. I think he would say, don't dress to impress people. Don't live your life. Put so much effort in. I'm trying to impress him. I'm trying to impress her. I want them to see how awesome I am. Just succeed. Succeed at compassion or kindness, humility, gentleness. Make it your goal that someone close to you says, Scott, you're patient because I could use some work in that one. Scott, you're humble because I could use some work in that one. And then build on what you believe. Just believing in Jesus is not the end game. It's the start. So I want to invite you to take a trip into my head. And it's a really scary place. So if you're sitting next to somebody, you might want to hold their hand. Are you ready to go? Because it's frightening sometimes in there. So when I get done with a message, before I send off my notes and the slides and stuff, I kind of walk through my message and look through, and I ask myself some questions about that message. You know, I want to make sure that I've done certain things and there's nothing that's overly confusing. But one of the things I always ask about a message before it ever gets out of my office is, am I setting people up to fail? Will people listen to this message, and could people walk away saying words like this? I could never do what he just said. Because I don't want to do that. Because I don't think Jesus does that with anybody. And there's the danger in a message where we looked at two passages that have lists, where some people are going to walk away and say, I could never do that. It's too much. There's too much there. I'm not close. And I don't want you to say I could never. Because we have a God who can always, ever. So don't say I could never. Because you could. Especially with God's help. You could do this. Here's what I have, family. Here's what I have, friends, co-workers. Here's what I have. You could do that. You could pick compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, just one of those things. I'm going to work on that so other people see it in me. Not that I look in the mirror and say it. I'm patient, I'm patient, I'm patient. Oh, but other people say it about me. I could do that. It might take a while. And I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to have some ups and downs on this, but I could do that. I could look at my faith. I believe in Jesus. But I'm going to add something. And the funny thing is what happens is when you say you're going to add knowledge, you know what you end up adding as well? Self-control and virtue and brotherly love. So you choose one, and you'll find out that the other ones kind of come along with the picture. I could do that. I think if God were here and he could speak to each of us individually, he wouldn't say to you, try harder. He would just be, try smarter. And if you're not a follower of Jesus, again, we're glad you're here. I encourage you to continue on a journey to figure out who Jesus is. Because maybe you think that a relationship with God is about your effort. It is not about your effort. It's all about his effort. Jesus, who was fully God, he came to earth. In other words, when he came to earth, he had so much to offer. You know what he did? He did this. And guess what happened to his palms? There were nail prints for you. Jesus came to earth, and he has scars to prove that he opened his hands for you. So if you're not a follower of Jesus, he opened his palms for you. He died on the cross for you. And you start a relationship by telling him you did that. You know what else he did for you? He came and he wore compassion and kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, brotherly love, affection, all of those things for us. You don't have to be the best at all of these things. That's what Jesus came to do. Put smarter effort in, because you have a really smart Jesus who we're trying to follow. Let's pray. God, I thank you for Jesus. When he came to earth, he gave the best and the smartest effort. He gave his life. And the proof was in his palms. He didn't hold anything back. And God, I pray if there's somebody watching or maybe here in person in Dodgeville who's never said these words, they'd simply say, God, I thank you for sending Jesus. He died in my place. He didn't hold on to everything. He gave everything for me. And God, I pray for each of us. We don't want to try harder. We just want to try smarter this year. So would you give us the courage and the willingness to do that so we can have a better 2026? In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, before you go, we've got some announcements. First of all, if you're new, we have what we call a monthly serving focus. In other words, there's something outside of our church walls that we collect or do an activity for something. This month we're doing what's called Hydration for Heroes. And we're getting those little packet drinks that you pour in water. This wasn't our idea. This is what those who are out there serving say, we could use these things. So you can either bring some packets. We'll have something by the front door. You can put it in there. Or if you want to give towards it, just put MSF on your information card. And we'll make sure we get as many of those as we can and give to people. That's what we're doing for the month of January. We're having an annual meeting on February 1st. And we don't have a lot of meetings at Hidden Valley, and that's intentional, but we do at least once a year have an annual meeting, and we would encourage you to put this on your calendar, make it a priority. We're going to talk about the future because I think the future is awesome because we have a really good God who likes to build His church. We're going to talk about some of the plans and challenges and all the good stuff. So if you consider this your church, whether you're a member or not, we'd encourage you to come. If you're not a member, you can't vote that day, but we do want you there. It's really important to us. We're also going to do something that day. We're going to have a potluck. That's the incentive to come. So I don't want to tell you what to bring, but pretty much anything without peas is good if you ask me. And if you want to bring something with peas, that's fine. I'm just not going to have any. But really, if you would make February 1st a priority, we'd appreciate it. It'll start right after the service, like 15, 20 minutes or so, because we want your input in terms of who we are as a church and where we're going, because God has some unique things for us as we look at this new year. We also started something new as of January. We are no longer sending out something called a Happy Thursday, which is an every Thursday email. We're going to do a monthly email, just to kind of tell you, it'll come out near the beginning of the month. It's going to tell you what's happening over the next 4 to 5 weeks and maybe some long-term stuff. We want you to be a part of that so you can kind of be aware what's going on. If you could put on your connection card, just right on the back, say, monthly email or what's happening or whatever, and we'll include you. And it's just that we want to communicate well to people. That's part of the getting better for us as a church as a whole, is how do we communicate to everybody what is and what's not going on. If you would take the time to fill out that connection card, especially if you're a visitor, we would appreciate it. We have a gift for you. If you have a prayer request or there's something that you don't understand, let us know. There's a question on the back of that, and if you would fill that question out, that would be really helpful because those questions help us decide what future messages we might be doing. So those are really important because we need to hear from you. If you can help us stack the chairs, and put them against the wall because we're kind of back to our normal week schedule with lots of things going on at the church. And while you do that, introduce yourself to somebody. Maybe you'll make a new friend. After the service and after you've worked hard, go eat pancakes back there. If you're new, I want to invite you to my table. Yeah, I don't really have a table back there, but it makes me feel important to think I do. But I'd really love to meet you back there. I'll be down here down front to pray with you, meet you. I want to thank you for being with us. Have a fantastic week.